The film begins with Enzo Siccotti, a thief living in a neighborhood in Rome. After he stole an expensive watch, Enzo ran away from the police and jumped into the Tiber River. When Enzo tried to get out of the river, he ran into radioactive waste after he accidentally broke a barrel that was underwater. Somehow he managed to get out, and he ran back home without realizing the dangers he was exposed to. On the way back, he got on the bus and suddenly he coughed up a black substance and he could hardly reach home from the severity of his pain. He spent the night vomiting a mysterious black liquid and he was coughing terribly. But the next morning he woke up as if nothing had happened. He decides to sell the watch to his neighbor Sergio, who works for Fabio. He is a deranged gangster. Fabio was talking to his gang about how to extract drugs from one of them. During his conversation, someone interrupted him and gave him a new phone in a different color than what he wanted. Because of that little mistake, he beat the man until he died, then asked his men to dispose of the body. Outside, Sergio met Enzo and bought the watch from him for 100 euros. Before Enzo leaves, Sergio stops him and offers to go with him to retrieve the drugs. Although the task was fraught with danger, Enzo agreed in exchange for a good sum. After they agreed, he went to Sergio's house to get some things, and there he met Sergio's daughter Alessia for the first time. She was behaving strangely as she drew many boyish drawings and pasted them on the walls of the house. She tells Enzo about Jake, a cartoon character she believes will save her one day. After they leave, Sergio apologizes to Enzo for his daughter's behavior, explaining that she is sick and obsessed with the cartoon character, Jake. Alessia has always been a special child, but after her mother's death, she cut herself off from reality. Both Enzo and Sergio took the two brothers who were carrying drugs to the building under construction. After they reached the building, one of them died of an overdose when a packet of drugs broke in his stomach. Sergio refused to take him to the hospital, so the man's brother grabbed Sergio's gun and shot him. Before he dies, Sergio hits the man's head with the wall hard for several times. And before the man took his last breath, he shot Enzo, and he fell from the 10th floor directly to the ground. If we think logically, Enzo would be dead for sure, but somehow Enzo opened his eyes and got up. He was shocked by what happened to him, so he got up and started running. On the same day, Fabio was with his men at the bar with Nunzia, a terrorist and leader of the Caroma clan, one of the largest drug trafficking gangs in Rome. Fabio was supposed to sell the drugs that Sergio would bring from the brothers to Nunzia, but after Sergio and the two brothers died, no news reached Fabio, so he had to tell Nunzia that the deal went well even though he knew she would kill him if she found out the truth. Meanwhile, Enzo returns home and Alessia stops him in the stairs asking him about her father, but he ignores her and enters the house. The girl kept knocking on the door non-stop, which made him angry, so he hit the door with his hand and caused a big gap. He was surprised by what happened, and after he was able to move the furniture and fold the iron effortlessly, he realized that he had gained exceptional strength. Later on, he discovered that he had gained healing power as well, because the wound on his shoulder had completely disappeared. Fabio with his men went to Sergio's house and threatened Alessia. It turns out that Fabio didn't know where the deal took place and they thought Sergio had run away with the drugs. That's why they were looking for him. Fabio put a knife on Alessia's face and asked her where her father was, and because she did not know, she remained silent. Suddenly, Enzo entered through the window, wearing a mask to hide his identity. He managed to lift one of Fabio's followers and drop him on the table easily. The gang fled, and before Fabio could get out, he attacked Enzo, severing his toe. Enzo takes Alessia to his house and tapes his toe in hopes that he will be back as he was by morning. Alessia begins to believe that Enzo is the hero Jake, and she believes that he is her savior. Because she is mentally ill, he did not explain to her the truth of the matter, leaving her to believe that he was Jake. The next morning, he discovered that his toe was no longer the same, so he accepted it, and he asked Alessia if she had any relatives to take her to, but she told him that her only relative was her father. Because he didn't want to take her responsibility, he took her to the nursing home where she had previously stayed while her father was imprisoned. At first she is reluctant to let Enzo go, but he assures her that he will be back soon. Meanwhile, the bank camera video of Enzo has gone viral on the internet. When Fabio saw the video, he realized that it was the same man who was in Sergio's apartment. Antonio, a member of Fabio's gang, suggested that they take out a loan to pay the money to Nunzia, but Fabio did not like the idea, and instead he suggested that they steal an armored truck. They had planned to steal it after the deal. Back home, Enzo found papers hidden in Sergio's bag. The papers were an elaborate plan to steal the same armored truck that Fabio was talking about. The next day, Enzo stole all the valuable contents from the armored truck. Fabio shoots Enzo several times, but Enzo manages to escape. Shortly thereafter, Alessia is brought to Enzo by two cops after they find her wandering the highway looking for him. He brought her into the house and scolded her for bringing the police, but the girl said she left because he didn't go to see her in the care home. That night while they were watching an episode of Jake, Alessia had a nervous breakdown because Enzo tried to get close to her, and when he tried to console her, she told him she had been sexually assaulted. The next day he takes her to the amusement park. Elsewhere, Fabio and Antonio get into an argument because Antonio wanted to take a loan to end the problems with Nunzia, but Fabio refuses to do so, and when Antonio insists, Fabio orders his men to kill him. Meanwhile, Alessia and Enzo go to the mall to buy the princess dress she's always wanted. They end up kissing each other. Then he tells her the truth about her father, so she blames him. News of the theft spreads in the media, and Enzo is dubbed Rome's super criminal. Fabio was jealous of Enzo's fame, so he decided to get superpowers too. Alessia ran away from Enzo and took a tram, but Enzo stopped tram using his superpowers and apologized to her. Before he could escape, everyone filmed him. Meanwhile, Fabio met one of his acquaintances to ask him for money, but suddenly Nunzia and her gang attacked him. After killing everyone except Nunzia and Fabio, he flees to his home, only to find that Nunzia's gang has killed all of his followers. They revealed Enzo's identity in the news, so Fabio discovered Enzo's identity through the news. He decided to pursue Enzo to find out the secret of his strength. Meanwhile, Enzo and Alessia decide to flee the city because the police have identified him. He booked a hotel room and told Alessia about his childhood and how all his friends were killed during a robbery. Suddenly, Fabio entered and drugged him, and when he woke up, he found himself tied up. Fabio has Alessia kidnapped to force him to reveal the source of his power. He takes him to the Tiber River, but suddenly Nunzia attacks him and shoots Alessia. Then she burns Fabio alive and pushes him into the river. Before dying, Alessia asks Enzo to use his power to help people. The next day, Fabio came out of the river with burns, but it turned out that the radioactive substance also affected him, so he recovered quickly. He went to Nunzia's house and filmed himself killing Nunzia and her gang in hopes of becoming famous like Enzo. Fabio found several explosives in the house. While Enzo was wandering alone, an accident occurred near him, so he used his power to save the little girl and pulled her out of the burning car. The girl's mother hugged him gratefully, so he remembered Alessia and her last words. Moments later, he saw a video clip on TV of Fabio threatening the residents to bomb the Stadio Olimpico Roma. Enzo started looking for him and found him in the stadium. Enzo chases after Fabio, but Fabio disappears into the crowd. Moments later, Enzo finds the explosives in an ambulance. He takes the explosives and tries to throw them into the river, but Fabio stops him, and a minute before the explosion Enzo manages to take them and jump into the Tiber River from a bridge with Fabio. The bomb exploded and Fabio died. Enzo was believed to be dead too. However, he appears in the final scene of the film Watching Rome wearing a Jake mask that Alessia made for him. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.